Hi there! My name is Zuzanna, I'm a harpist and a harp teacher, and in this video I will talk about the iPad that I use. If you're thinking about buying a tablet to use for digital sheet music, you may be wondering, how big of a screen do you need? How much memory will be enough for your music collection? Whether you need a pencil, special stand, or any other accessories or software? And I will be answering all these questions here today. Let's start first by talking about the iPad itself. The iPad that I've got is an iPad Pro with a 12.9-inch screen, Wi-Fi and 256GB of memory. And a lot of people ask me which of these parameters should one look at when making the decision. Let's start from the screen. My iPad is the model with the largest available display, and I went for it because I thought that since it's the only screen that matches a standard A4 sheet music format, then it must be the best fit. And although I am definitely very happy with the screen, and I think that if you have the budget, this screen has some advantages, maybe if I would be buying an iPad today, I would also consider looking at the smaller screen sizes. Let's now have a look at the screen and the standard paper sheet music for the same piece. And you can probably already see that the print that you see on the screen is slightly larger than what's on the paper. And this is because with ForScore, the app that I use, I can crop and adjust how the music shows on my screen, so I can get rid of these margins, which actually take quite a bit of an A4 page. With this size of the screen, I'm even able to display 2 pages of music at the same time. Let me demonstrate that. Perhaps I wouldn't use this for something I play for the first time, but for simple pieces that I know well and where I only need a reminder of what comes next every now and then, why not? The fact that the music on the 12.9-inch screen appears larger compared to its printed original makes me think that perhaps with a smaller screen you may actually be able to see the music in the similar size to what's printed. However, I haven't tried it, and if I was making my choice again today, that's definitely something I would ask about in a shop. Can I put some music on the screen and see how it compares to the print? Because if it looks okay for you, then maybe this will be enough. However, if for any reason you appreciate being able to see your music in larger print and want to have the option to have it in as large print as possible, I would then still go for the biggest possible screen. Now for the Wi-Fi versus Wi-Fi plus cellular. My iPad has only the Wi-Fi option and it works perfectly fine. If for any reason I need to go online and say buy some music on the go somewhere where there's no Wi-Fi, I actually use the hotspot option on my iPhone and it works perfectly fine. So if you're on a budget, I would say that you don't need this extra option if your main reason for buying an iPad is to use it while playing the harp. But I would be curious to hear if anyone has a different opinion, so let me know in the comments. Next, the memory. My iPad has 256GB and I think this was the second smallest memory option for iPad Pro. Since I bought it in 2018, I have never had any problems with running out of space, and I use it both for music storage and for recording most of the Coffee Break harp episodes. I'm actually going to check now how much memory I'm using and how much is left. Okay, so it turns out that it's not too bad. I've only used 121GB, and I think it's because the scanned PDFs don't take that much space, so I suppose that I may just about reach my limit after I scan all the music that I've got at home, which I haven't gotten to do yet. If I happen to run out of space at some point, I may choose to store some of my music on a cloud, which I do right now anyway for backup. If you don't know how to back up your music collection, make sure you watch my other video on iPad and ForScore app. To sum up, I don't think that you need the latest and the most expensive model available to read music comfortably, but it might be a good idea to check what screen size would suit your needs. So if you're in doubt, I highly recommend that you either make a trip to the shop or ask a friend to show you their iPad. And even without downloading an app, you can see how a picture or PDF with music looks on the screen and whether it's good for what you need. Also, a quick tip if you are looking into ways of making the purchase more affordable. If you're a student or you're working at an educational institution such as a school, a conservatoire or a university, when you use your school email to make a purchase, you can then take advantage of the education and student Apple pricing. The offers change over time. At the time when I bought my iPad, I got a percentage discount of the purchase. Right now I think you can get discounts on Apple Care, which I think is still worth considering, and perhaps some other accessories. So, if you think you may be eligible, that's something to think about. The app that I use is called ForScore, and I've been really happy with it, which is why I don't really have much experience with other apps. From what I hear, it's one of the most popular choice among the musicians and especially professional musicians, so I think it's fine to say that it is a safe choice. At the time of making this video, which is October 2020, Fourscore costs $15 for a one-off purchase, and then if you want to go for Fourscore Pro, that's $10 for a yearly subscription. I use Fourscore, not Fourscore Pro, and since I purchased it in December 2018, it is absolutely sufficient for what I need to do at the harp. I've made a whole other episode showing you the basic functionalities of the Fourscore app, how you can use it for mark fingerings, brackets, pedals and harmonic changes, how to correct the size of your music to get rid of the white margins, cataloging your music, and many other things that make this app such a great help. Make sure you do check this other episode out. For scanning my music, I use an app called Genius Scan. I use the free version and it's absolutely sufficient. I think these apps are all equally good in the basic scanning functionality, as the most depends on the camera on the tablet anyway. Now let's move on to talking about some of the extras that you may or may not want to get with your iPad. If you're going to use the iPad to mark up any of your music, I highly recommend that you do consider getting the Apple Pencil. When you watch my other video where I show how I mark my music using the Fourscore app, you will see how precise I can get when using the pencil. It's really hard to get to this level of precision by using only your fingers. For example, let me try to write something down in here first by using my fingers and then using the pen. Let me use the red color for my fingers. And let me write Adagio. Okay, that's a little bit fiddly, and now let's try using green color to write something down, the same thing using the pen. As you can see, it is possible to apply some markings by using just your fingers, but it is rather fiddly. If you're taking lessons with a teacher and they do all the marking up for you, then you'll probably be fine without a pencil. But if you, for example, are using piano music to play and need to apply some changes, or if you often have to learn new music where some markings may be necessary, I think your life would be a lot easier with the Apple Pencil. I would recommend that you consider getting AppleCare, especially if, like me, you have tendency of dropping things. These devices unfortunately are quite fragile, and although for obvious reasons I won't be showing you today how fragile they really are, you can easily find plenty of videos on YouTube where people are bending iPads quite easily just by using their hands. And seeing just one video like that convinced me to get the AppleCare. When I got the iPad, I did expect to have to move it around a lot whenever moving my harp to play, so I did get a case to make sure that it's fine to travel in my bag. The case that I got is not the super resistant type available, but it does the job, and it also means that when I put my iPad on my music stand, the magnet at the back makes it stick really well and gives me quite a bit of sense of security and stability when using the tablet. Now for the screen protector. I heard that it can be helpful when you write using the screen a lot, however I haven't got it and I'm doing fine. I suppose the case also helps because after almost 2 years of owning this iPad, my screen seems to be still looking fine. It could maybe do with some cleaning, but there are no serious scratches that would cause any problems. Maybe sometimes I need to be careful when working with an Apple Pencil, because when I accidentally touch the screen with my hand, the pencil stops working, so I usually just pull my sleeve down a bit, and because I live in Scotland right now, most of the time I wear a long sleeve anyway. However, I'm not really sure if a screen protector solves that particular problem, so you may want to check that first before you decide to buy one. Personally, I don't think that this is something you absolutely need. When it comes to music stands, I know that there are special stands for iPads out there. However, I haven't bought one just yet. I do have a tripod with an add-on to place an iPad on top, which I use when I'm recording new episodes with an iPad and also when teaching online. However, I do not use that stand when playing. Instead, I place iPad on the metal music stand that I got a couple years ago, and because of its magnetic case, the iPad sticks to the metal really quick and it doesn't really move. And this works well for me and gives me the flexibility of playing both from an iPad and sheet music if I need to. While one day I may get a so-called proper music stand for tablets, I do not think that this is something you absolutely must have when you buy an iPad if you already have a sturdy music stand. Maybe the exception would be if the only music stand that you've got is the light type of foldable wire stand, which looks like this. And I wouldn't recommend regularly using one like that with an iPad, because I think it's just all too dangerous, both for the iPad and for the harp. But if you already have a good music stand where an iPad's weight can be distributed well, then maybe that's a purchase you can save for later. While I have bought a pedal page turner, I use it very rarely because turning pages on an iPad is so easy. All you need to do is tap with your finger lightly to go back and forth. So I would suggest that you first try turning pages on your iPad without the pedal and see if you need it, and if so, for which pieces. If you have a big enough screen, you may also try to see whether displaying 2 pages at a time makes it easier. If you do decide to get a pedal for page turns, make sure that you allow some time for practice, especially if you play a pedal harp. This is all manageable and the extra pedal is normally not too much of a bother, but if you've got a lot of left foot pedal changes around the page turn, you will need to practice to find out when exactly you will need to send your foot away from the pedals to the page turning pedal. Now, if you want to see how the iPad works in practice and how I mark up my music using Force-Core, check out my other video. And if you have any questions that I haven't answered during this basic overview, or you just want to let me know that you like my video, do leave a comment below. Also, remember to subscribe so you're the first to see when the new episode comes out. I will see you here very soon, and in the meantime, take care. Bye!